Hello ladies and gents, boys and girls, my name is Jack, welcome back to the Bike channel. You join me here in the garage as always. I've got the Thruxton TFC uncovered because today we're going to be doing a review, a 1-year owner's review on the TFC. I've had plenty of time to get to know the bike, the good bits and the bad bits, and I'm going to tell you all about them. So I'm going to get my lid on and I'll see you out on the road. Hello everybody, welcome to the road. What road is it? It's the A225 into Sevenoaks, as you can see on the sign over there. Why are we going into Sevenoaks? It's a beautiful English town in the southeast of England, and where better to take a beautiful British bike. So we're going to get on the roll, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the TFC and tell you my thoughts on it and a few interesting facts about it hopefully as well. So let's get this thing started up. There we go. And now it's clear, off we go. Okay, so this is actually the second time I've filmed this video, frustratingly so. Yesterday I came all the way here. The clouds were not here. It was a beautiful blue sky. The weather could not have been better, albeit a little bit cold, and a little bit of ice on the floor, but that aside it was absolutely perfect, apart from the fact that I forgot to charge the GoPro, which is very annoying, but you know, it is what it is, and here we are on a bit of a murky rubbish day really. Weather app says that it's meant to rain. That can happen at any time from pretty much when I left the house this morning. So we'll aim to get this done in one take, if we can. We'll see how professional I am, even though I'm definitely not a professional. So, the Thruxton TFC, well, why did I buy it? At the time, I was on a bike that I loved. I still love, I still have one. It was the Triumph T120, the Bonneville. Great big engine, very torquey engine, and I had the whole thing absolutely covered in chrome. It was gorgeous. But then they released the TFC, and I saw loads of videos on it, and you just can't help but be impressed when you hear the sort of things that they were saying about it. And I decided to go down to Carl Rosner Triumph in Croydon and see if I could flip my T120. TFC, and what's so special about it? Well, it's a highly limited bike for a start. Just 750 units worldwide, which is an extremely low production number, especially considering how many differences there are from at the time the Thruxton R to this. It's chalk and cheese really. 750, this is number 460, and each one of them comes with a numbered plaque, which sits on top of this single piece aluminium billeted top yoke, which is just beautiful. So yeah, very rare. And I looked on Auto Trader to see if I could find one the other day. Absolutely nothing. So I'm hoping that they remain a bit of a rarity, and as a result it will hold its value nicely. But time will tell. It is the first ever TFC. TFC, if you don't know, stands for Triumph Factory Custom. And basically Triumph were doing a bit of flirting with modifying bikes, doing little bespoke projects for people. They did one for David Beckham and a few other things. So they were flirting with it, and it was going quite well. They decided that they would launch the TFC brand, which is basically ultra premium limited edition versions of their existing models. Is it too late to sneak in front? No. Let's go. That was sneaky. So yeah, this is the result. The first ever TFC, and I'm hoping as well that will work in my favour, as is every Thruxton TFC owner. What did Triumph do to the engine? Well, quite a lot actually. The engine is a 1200cc single overhead cam twin. The Thruxton R, which is what this bike is based on, generates 96 horsepower. Triumph were able to drag another 12 horsepower out of it. They bumped it up to 108 horsepower. And they did this in a multitude of ways, one of which was to increase the compression ratio from 10 to 1 to 11 to 1. And you really feel the difference if you've ever ridden a Thruxton R, which itself was not an underpowered bike. They changed a lot to the engine. They worked on the cylinders, they worked on the way it breathes, they worked on materials that they put into the engine, magnesium cam cover, and various other bits and pieces. So it wasn't just a flashy badge that they put on this thing and tried to pass it off as something special. They really worked on this and made it what it is. Where does it sit in the Thruxton lineup in terms of power? Well, we've already said that the Thruxton R that it's based on comes in at 96 horsepower, and that this has 108 horsepower. The Thruxton lineup has widened since then to include the newest model, which is the Thruxton RS. Now, I did worry at the time that they developed all of this technology and changed the Thruxton R into this just to release a Thruxton RS a little while later, which would have more horsepower and benefit from all the positive work that they did on this, and then suddenly this would therefore be less special because it's no longer the top of the tree. That's not what happened. The Thruxton RS came out and it has 103 horsepower, so this is the top of the Thruxton lineup in terms of power. It's a very torquey engine as well, so it's really nice to ride at the bottom end of the RPM scale. Really pulls away beautifully. Of course, horsepower is only one part of the story, and there's no point having loads of power if you've got loads of weight as well. And of course, being a retro classic, Triumph are using a lot of heavy materials, lots of steels, among other things. But TFC division, or Triumph I guess, for their TFC models did a great job in reducing the weight of this bike. Now, even with the front fairing here, the Cafe Racer fairing, even with that, this bike comes in at 15 kilograms or so less than a Thruxton R. And the way they achieve that is just to put carbon fibre everywhere. You've got a carbon fibre section behind the seat. You've also got a carbon fibre pair of heel guards down here. You've got carbon fibre end tips on the end of the slip-ons, which we'll talk about soon. And you've also got this huge one-piece carbon fibre fairing on the front. Now on the normal Thruxtons, this fairing at the front comes in a few pieces, 3 I think, left, right and centre. This is one complete piece of carbon fibre, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I really love the look of the carbon fibre fairing. I think it makes it. I still think it's got I think it gives it a more elegant look, whereas without it is a more muscular look. I don't know if you agree. But anyway, they made sure it's really light. They managed to get 5 kilograms out of the engine alone, and the way they did that was boring out all the casings, so that you didn't have really thick casings, you had nice thin casings, and therefore they managed to reduce a lot of weight that way. Which makes sense. It always makes you wonder why they had such thick casings in the first place, but that's what they did. Also got a magnesium can cover, which reduces the weight even further. So that's what they did with the weight, and you can feel it in the performance. It really goes. I've had these things well above the ton, which is of course what the Cafe Racer bikes were all about, hitting the ton. So I've had it well above the ton before, and it's absolutely no problem at all. Cruising along at 70 on the motorway, you're looking at about 2.5 to 3,000 RPM. It redlines at 7, so that gives you an idea. Let's take a bit of a country road. There's probably going to be an ice rink, but we'll have a look. In terms of technology, what's it got? Well, it's got traction control, it's got ABS, it's got rider modes. So it's got a rain mode, cancel that indicator. It's got a rain mode, it's got a road mode, and it's got a sport mode. And you can really tell the difference between the different modes. The throttle response becomes much sharper as you climb up through the modes. Of course, you've got to think about traction. I'm thinking about traction right now. As you can see, snow at the sides of the roads. So what's it sitting on? Well, probably not the best tyres to be sitting on in the cold, riding along the back roads of Kent. But it's sitting on a pair of Racetech RRs, which are road to race tyre. So really grippy when they're warm. Almost look like slicks if you're far enough away. But yeah, really impressive tyre. What else has it got? So Racetech RRs, that's a difference from the standard spec of the Thruxton R. Other differences from the standard spec. Well, you've got these beautiful hand-painted coach lines. All these gold lines that you saw in that little intro video that I did. All of those are hand-painted by one person. And they even signed the bike with their initials. That's a really nice touch. The paint is a beautiful high fleck paint, and that really pops in the sunlight. Whenever the sunlight hits it, just you see that flake in the paint. It just sets it off really nicely. I love the front forks having this gold colouring to them to tie in with the coach lines. That's a really nice touch, and they match the piggyback reservoirs of the Öhlins rear shocks as well. So again, everything is just so purposeful, so thought out. Of course, on the Thruxton, you've got the show big piston forks ordinarily at the front. Well, with the oh, this is ice everywhere, blimey. With the TFC model, they switched those up for Nick's 30 Öhlins front shocks, so it's got absolutely top of the line shock absorbers. I believe they're the same shocks the same forks that they use in the Moto 2. I may be wrong, but I think that's what they are. And they really absorb the bumps in the road beautifully. That's in keeping really with the whole ethos of this bike. They went to the top shelf of everything and picked out the very best components that they possibly could of every section of the bike. The general finish of the bike, well, as you'd expect, absolutely top drawer. You've got, apart from the custom paint scheme, you've just got nice finishes everywhere. Brushed sections everywhere, you've got polished sections here and there. And it's a really nice place to sit. I love the twin dials at the front. And all the information that's presented to you on those, really nice. Left one, obviously your speedo, right one, your rev counter, but subset into the dials, which are TFC branded. You've got the TFC logo in there rather than a Triumph logo. Subset into the dials are your standard Thruxton inserts or subsections. On the left you've got, okay, start, yeah, loads of room. On the left you've got the gear indicator, which is nice, a good feature. I think every bike should have one of those. With your computer, obviously trip information, you've got a clock, all that sort of stuff. On the right, you've got lots of information about the fuel. So you've got a range indicator, great idea, big thumbs up for that. And you've also got a readout which shows you how full the tank is. So they are two different things. Range indicator is obviously calculated by the computer, and then you've got a level indicator, which is the almost sort of pictorial indication of how much fuel you've got left. And below that you've got your rider modes, rain, road and sport indicated to you. New mods, it's got a full LED lighting system. That's all as standard. New LED front light, which really looks mean. Beautiful front light. Let's go down here, why not? It's a tight one. Yeah, so front and back looks really nice, as you can imagine. Let's talk about the exhaust system just briefly. I think on the normal versions they've got an air exhaust. I may be wrong about that. But just off the top of my head, I think it's an air exhaust. On this one they've gone with Vance & Hines titanium slip-on, which has the carbon fibre end tips. Now, first of all, they look great, really nice, really retro, really cafe. But not only that, they sound awesome. When you've got the throttle pins open, but even more so on the overrun. On the overrun they pop and crack and burble, and it's a real pleasure when you're in the high ranges of the revs and you just come off the throttle and let the engine braking slow you down. They just pop and crack away. Really nice, really nice. Very gushing review so far. Should we talk about a couple of things that I think aren't so great? There's very few. First of all, on the engine starts, it doesn't almost ever seem to catch first time. You always got to do two of those, or at least I do. Oh, big pothole there. Yeah, you've always got to do two of those. And that doesn't look great because you come up to your bike, it's a really premium bike, 18,000 quid, nearly 20 grand you spent on it. It looks how it looks, it's got all the componentry that it does, and you sit on it and go to start it up outside of a cafe and it doesn't go. So that's annoying. Anything else? That's it really. That's the only thing I dislike about it. Comfort wise, special to the TFC, they've got a brand new seat for it, which is a leather seat, really nice leather seat that's covered in or trimmed in gold trim, gold stitching. Which is just beautiful, really comfortable. You can, whoa, wowee. That was slippery. I saved it though. Whew. But my knees, I'd say, at a 60-65 degree angle. So pretty comfortable. I'm 6'1", and the nice thing about the seat is you can slide all the way backwards, all the way forwards. You've got loads of movement in this seat, so that's nice. It's quite wristy. I think with the when you get the front fairing, they drop the clip-ons by an inch, maybe an inch and a half, so it can be quite wristy. You can raise them, but it is a pretty wristy riding position. You are quite forward, so bear that in mind. And around town, because it is quite a heavy bike, despite all of the weight savings they've made from the Thruxton R. It is quite a heavy bike, so you have to bear that in mind, and pushing these handlebars around in town can add to that feeling in your wrists, that weight on your wrists. But in summary, I absolutely love the Thruxton TFC. It's not leaving the garage. I hope it's going to be a permanent addition to my garage. Very, very happy with it. If you get your chance, or get a chance to get your hands on one day, I thoroughly recommend it. Beautiful bike. and hopefully I'll bring you a lot more content when the weather gets a bit better on this bike.
Okay everyone, as you can see I'm back in the garage, nice and warm again. That was one of the coldest rides back I've ever had. My face feels like it's going to drop off. Anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you subscribe, click on the bell icon, new release every Wednesday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on the Bike channel very soon.